I can't sleep when I lay in bed. Too much thinking in my head. I don't know what to do anymore. But come on now, tell me the score. Is there anything I can do to get out of these tragic blues? I'm a victim of circumstance. I never really had a chance. I lay down, stare at my feet. You know the world has got me beat.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Mental Health Matters. Our guests for today are from the TLCS Mental Health Crisis Respite Center. And with us we have Letitia Pierce. Letitia is a Respite Services Coordinator for TLCS. Thank you for being with us today, Letitia.
Thank you for having us.
And Dwayne Wright is with us. And Dwayne is the Program Manager and also a social worker who works at TLCS Crisis Respite Center.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we're delighted to have you both, and I've been very interested to see what's going on over there at the Crisis Respite Center. I know that Sacramento County has been engaged in trying to develop the Respite Collaborative Partnership and developing these new innovative programs. So can you tell us a little bit about the TLCS Crisis Mental Health Respite Center?
Absolutely. It's a really exciting program because it is so available to the residents of Sacramento County. The two primary categories, criteria to use this program is at least 18 years of age and residing in Sacramento County. So if you're at least 18 years old residing in Sacramento County, you can utilize this program. The third criteria is struggling with some sort of mental health distress. And that doesn't need to be a mental health diagnosis. It's just some sort of psychological distress. And we're available. We're a phone call away.
So something that may cause them to want to go to the hospital or maybe end up in other systems of care, potentially.
Absolutely, and that's I'm going to say a lot makes this program special, but it's just that. It's a phone call away for individuals that are having a really, really bad day. So no longer does someone have to either go to the ER or stay at home and isolate in a deep depression or after a breakup or whatever's bringing stress to them. They can pick up the phone. Our number is 916, the word respite. Call 916 respite. Speak with one of our wonderful staff and call 1 minute and come in the next minute, really.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the purpose of CRC, and I know that that you kind of touched on it a little bit already. But
the purpose of CRC, CRC is funded by the Mental Health Service Act.
And I'm glad we're calling it CRC, by the way, because it's a mouthful.
Thank you for clarifying that. CRC is the program, as we call it. The Mental Health Service Act, this is funded by MHSA, the old Prop 63 that the voters of California passed about 10 years ago, which taxes, and I know you know this, but for the audience, that taxes anyone that makes over $1 million a year 1%. So come to find out there's a lot of people in California that make over $1 million a year because it has funded quite a few of these programs. And this program was funded to relieve a lot of the stress off the emergency rooms of people struggling with mental health and trying to get their needs, and at times getting their needs met there.
Yeah, and I think, if I could just add to that a little bit, I know that this is, they're using innovation dollars to fund this, and so I think the idea, from my understanding, is to look at things a little bit differently for people that might be experiencing mental health distress or crisis. Previously, we kind of always send them to the emergency room, or we always think that that's what they need, but we've learned over time that not everybody needs to be hospitalized, that some type of crises or distress of this type can be ameliorated in a shorter period of time that may not need all of these other medical interventions. And so looking at it a little bit differently and giving people a safe place to sort of get away, maybe learn some skills, connect, get some resources, and just sort of be able to remove themselves from that distress. Do I understand that?
Basically, they can expect to come in and know that there's going to be it's a serene environment. There's going to be compassionate staff, non-judgmental staff, and know that people are here they can trust. And they come in and they're very vulnerable, and they can know that we're going to be here for them to be able to assist them in hopes that when they leave, they are better equipped to stabilize their crisis. Yes.
Yeah. So what kind of activities do you do? And maybe kind of walk me through. I know I've unfortunately not been able to get over there to do a site visit, but I can't wait to get there. But I'm curious, when they come in, sort of what kind of activities do you do with them? What kind of things do you work on with them? And it sounds like you do a lot of that.
Yes. Well, we don't have particular activities that we do. We kind of work with them on what they want to do as far as maybe building their coping skills. If that's something that they want to do, it's more voluntary. We print out activities for coping skills, or they have access to the computers, so they can look into different resources on the computers. Whatever they do to de-stress on the computers, they can listen to Pandora while they're there.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering. Right. I mean, are there other things they can do?
Yeah, yeah, there's 3 rooms, if you can envision, 2,700 square feet, 3 rooms with between 3 and 4 recliners in each, with 3 50-inch flat screen TVs.
Yes, you have the TVs.
We do. We're in a beautiful environment that when you look out the windows, the sliding glass doors, in 2 of the rooms, you see the American River Parkway.
Oh, very nice.
So it really is geared so that anybody, regardless if they have a lot of money or no money, would be comfortable there. Because it really is geared towards anyone in Sacramento County, not just one single population.
Right. And I know that it's very important in Sacramento County that we serve a lot of the underserved communities. So tell me a little bit about how you're able to serve some of the underserved communities.
Well, I think the idea that we're just a phone call away. So we've tried to make this as simple as possible. And to really exemplify the importance of us reaching out to the people that might not be able to access us. Otherwise, if someone can't get to us, we'll send a cab and pick them up.
You will pick them up.
So people can stay for a max of 23 hours. I'm just putting in tidbits to kind of give a picture of the whole program. If we get a call and someone is either too distressed or distraught to drive, maybe had something to drink, or whatever, and shouldn't drive, we'll send out a cab without a second thought. And then at the end of the 23 hours or however long they want to stay, because it's completely free and voluntary. So whether they want to stay 1 hour or 23 hours, we'll help them get to one spot in Sacramento via a cab. If they
within that 23 hours.
Within that 23 hours.
Great.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what people are, the feedback you're getting from the clients.
They tell us that all the staff was really nice. You really helped me. You saved my life. Just numerous different things.
I'm hearing so many positive things, and they tell me really that, if it wasn't for the crisis center, they would be back in the hospital or, maybe in the jail and things like that, but that to have a place to go has really helped folks, and I keep hearing that. So I'm very excited that you guys are here to talk about this a little bit today, because it seems like it's caught on, and a lot of people are utilizing your services.
Yeah, we have everybody fill out a little short survey evaluation when they leave.
Right.
And the feedback is tremendous. Via the staff, we have 12 wonderful staff. Also the environment, we don't require much of any paperwork.
Right.
The phone screening is 7 very short and simple questions. The office interview is about 10 minutes, and we don't ask for photocopy IDs of anything or need much of anything from them. So because of us not needing much from them, it puts us in a position to really be completely available to them.
Well, and builds that rapport as well. I mean, sometimes that's the toughest part of the intervention, is having to ask these really intrusive questions, and then people sort of shut down because they've maybe told the story and they don't want to keep telling the story, and what's the criteria, and maybe you don't meet the criteria. And I think historically, people in the mental health system have felt that way. That they don't want to keep telling their story. They don't want everybody, to have to know every little detail about their life because they need to get some help, and it keeps people from getting help.
Yeah.
I think sometimes those type of, that kind of red tape and all of that can really keep people from seeking the help that they need. And so it's nice to hear of a program that has sort of a non-threatening environment. There's not a lot of paperwork. You can just. Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, Karen Brokop was very instrumental in helping design this program and set it up, and that was of the utmost importance to her. Is we would always ask, why are we asking this question, and do we need to ask this question?
And if it's not
gone, and as a result, we're not asking a lot of questions.
Great. So, can you give me an example of some of the questions that you do ask initially?
Yeah.
So when they first initially call, we ask them if they're in a safe place. We ask them if they can rate the crisis on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the worst. We ask them where exactly where they are at the time, kind of what's going on, and just a real brief description of what's going on to kind of make it a mental health crisis. And we ask them their address and their phone number, if they're having any thoughts of ending their life at the time, and if they say they are, then if they have a plan, and I think that's pretty much it. If they have transportation to the center, if not, then we offer the taxi ride. Right, and
so we do that all on the computer, and I don't know if you can get a close-up. This is the entire phone screening right here.
Wow.
So to say that it's minimal, I just want to say, show it's really that minimal.
Wow.
And the one thing I do need to clarify is we have no medical staff.
Well, and I was kind of going to get to that a little bit, because I wanted to ask you, does that ever worry you that there are no medical staff, or do you feel pretty comfortable? I mean, I know that's been some of the fear about the respite and not having the medical component or the psychiatric component, but it's available if somebody needs to, if somebody needed to go to the hospital, they can.
Absolutely.
But the idea is if they can be kind of stabilized, then they don't necessarily need to. So do you find that challenging at all? I know when I talked to Dwayne before, he seemed to think that it was working pretty well, and that was really encouraging to hear that. So
I think it's working well as well. Also, during the phone interview, we asked them, or the phone assessment, we asked them if they have any physical health concerns that may impact their stay over the next 23 hours. We also inform them to bring any medications or that they are taking at the time, because we're not medically equipped. So I think that, we haven't had too many problems to where. Not
at all. And the phone screening, like Letitia said, we're good about screening people in or out. And if people need physical health, medical intervention, or psychiatric medical intervention, like a 5150, and of course we refer them to the hospital. But it's amazing that people that might otherwise use the ER, the local emergency departments, for psychiatric needs that really can be addressed in an outpatient setting. And we're that outpatient setting. People will come in fairly distraught, daily really, we're a crisis center. Come in, get exposure to our staff, put their feet up, watch TV, get a hot cup of tea, be listened to.
I was going to say listening is
and just listening, and that's what we're so good at. And you can see that crisis alleviate in a matter of minutes, really.
Somebody to talk to, somebody to sit with them.
Safe. It's such a safe, secure environment with people who genuinely are trained, but genuinely care about them. And there's just no denying that. And the nonverbal and everything else that happens.
And the non-judgment and having that compassionate, philosophy, I think is really, really helpful. So what are some of the challenges that you face on a daily basis? It sounds like there's a lot going on. You have a lot of folks you're serving.
Well, there's a lot going on, but I would never want to leave the impression that by crisis, we mean there's all this
like
commotion and chaos. Every once in a while, we'll have a person or two that feels like we have 10 people. But 96% of the time, it's really this calm ambiance.
Nice.
People have their feet up, watching TV in a listening session with one of the counselors. So as far as like...
So you set the environment up in a way that it really is conducive to sort of relaxation and calm and comfort and
breathing.
Yeah, very nice.
It's
very
an
nice.
amazing
That's really
what an
helpful.
effect. Yeah.
And depending on what environment they're experiencing in their own personal life at that time, that, I mean, is truly the definition of respite. To get away from that and to be able to just sit and have somebody listen and, you know, kind of get away from it all in a safe place.
And to be respectful to the emergency departments and all they do day in and day out. They're not designed to offer that, so they're doing the best they can, I believe, with what they have going on. And we're just better equipped to handle the mental health kind of outpatient need type stuff. A lot better than in an emergency department.
Well, and to also sort of, it sounds like that you connect them with resources and they can kind of find out different things that might be out there, that they can build some natural supports or get some additional services or help. And are you finding that folks are linked or unlinked, or are you tracking that at all? I'm just kind of curious.
Like linked with services already?
Yeah, like they're already linked with a provider, but they're just maybe experiencing a bit of a crisis, so they need to come to the respite center, or are you finding that most of them are not linked?
I would say kind of half and half, kind of maybe.
Yeah, I'd say a little bit of both, or a lot of both. We come across both, really, and I think that's the advantage of this program is we're so available to everyone.
Right.
That we're reaching out and doing in-services all over Sacramento. And so we're getting people with formal mental health diagnoses, and we're getting people that have never had any experience with mental health coming through the door. So I like that. A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Yeah, that's great, actually. Yeah. And so you're feeling pretty successful. How many clients do you say you see maybe in the course of a week? Or I know you shared some figures over the... Maybe, it's almost been a year. Has it almost been a year? Yeah.
Recently, about 6 a day. And overall, we've helped address, I don't have that, but I know it off the top of my head, about 1,200 people. That's both duplicated and unduplicated.
Yeah. Like crisis situations.
Crisis situations. And unduplicated people coming through the front door, about 800. Wow. Maybe a little over 800. So a lot of people. That might otherwise go to the ER, wind up in jail, or sit at home and struggle by themselves. Pull the sheets over their head, try to sleep, but they've slept too much anyway, and they just want to disappear but not be able to.
Yeah, and sometimes just a change of environment can really, really help alleviate some of the stress that they're experiencing in that moment.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's what we're trained to do. It's what we're both trained and we care to do. Yeah, it's really, really a magical program. I am so very proud of the program and the staff, which makes it really the program it is.
So it sounds like people can pretty much call on their own. There's not a real formal referral process that they have to go through. They don't need to be referred by a mental health provider, or they don't need to go through Access, the county Access line, do they?
You take calls all day, every day?
Just anybody. So we're open to the public.
That's really a unique facet as well, because very few mental health services in any county is delivered without having to go through all of that, it seems like. So that to me is a real advantage to getting people to actually access your services. It's so much easier to just go to one place instead of calling a number of different numbers and lines and what have you to get the help you need. Are you folks ever able to link those that are unlinked, or do you kind of do a warm handoff, or are you able to help with some of that during the 23-hour stay?
Quite a bit. There's no excuse for us not to really work closely with someone over the course of 23 hours. And we've made relationships with a lot of the different programs out there in Sacramento County. And so we do very often find a place to offer a warm handoff and then help someone get there via a taxi. So
that's really helpful, because a lot of times people don't know the resources that are out there and how to access them, and Yeah, so it's really, really important. So they at least have some tools or some support when they're leaving.
Yeah. There's a lot of resources in Sacramento. Maybe not enough, but there's a lot of pockets out there. Yeah. It's just hard to know, keeping on track.
Well, and things change, and the access points change and things like that. But to try to really help folks, make those warm handoffs.
And that's a big part of what we do is we stay knowledgeable about all the local resources.
Right.
It's what we do.
So it sounds so nice that I want to go, but
and we have therapists come through. Absolutely, we do.
So I'm wondering, do you get folks to come back? I mean, I know that it's really for that crisis, but it sounds like you do get some that are sort of repeat, and that's actually really helpful for them that they still can come back. So how often do you think, or do you get that a lot? Or
I think we get it a lot. I think that sometimes they didn't get all what they needed, or maybe they could use more respite for another time.
Right.
So they do come back, and we have a couple people that come back, more frequent than others, and kind of just need that time to just de-escalate and just.
Well, and now they know the program's there, so that if they start to experience that again, they know that they have a safe place that they can go. So.
And I think it's a good point to highlight. We are not a shelter,
right?
So people come through and fall in love with this program and would like to live there. And so we're doing a new assessment with every phone call, and making sure that
even if they've been there before, of course,
like what's going on today and how is that different than yesterday, and we're just looking for any bump. So instead of this ongoing steady crisis, what's going on today that was different than yesterday? And so people often ask, how many beds do you have, or do you have a shower? Trying to fit us into that kind of shelter.
I know it's sort of the shelter. And then do you get the question about meals? Are you able to provide meals?
We do.
Yeah, I was going to say 23 hours.
And we get donations.
I can't go that long without
You wouldn't have to. We get donations from Cheesecake Factory. Thank you, Cheesecake Factory. So
wonderful.
We've got excellent food.
Good food.
And all the coffee.
So that's they donate. They donate their food. How wonderful. You have nice meals over there.
Really
that's better than the hospital any day. The Cheesecake Factory. Do they even give cheesecake?
No. But we've been told that around the holiday season they get abundance of a lot of different things. So we're hoping.
Well, that's really a great partnership as well. I didn't realize that with the meals, and that's nice because it's really important. You have to have some sustenance during the course of that time. So do you have a kitchen and all of that? Great. So on any given day, how many people do you say? Is it about 6? Did you say maybe?
About 6.
Sometimes it feels like more than that.
And I know this is sort of a practical, boring question, but I always, you're working around the clock. So you have to have quite a few staff so that you can rotate. Is that hard for folks? I mean, do they get a kind of set schedule and then that's their schedule and they're okay with it? And
it's we're really dependent upon the staff because we have 12 primary staff, and so if and we're 24/7. So if one staff calls in, it leaves a hole, and we have to scatter and move people around.
Right. That was one of the challenges that I was thinking about when you were explaining it. I thought, well, gosh, that's going to be a little bit hard sometimes because people get sick or they go on vacation, and so do you have some on-call staff?
We do.
You'd almost have to, especially for a 23-hour program.
But we've been lucky to have a real reliable staff, and that has helped out tremendously.
So some folks don't mind doing that night shift and the weekend shift and all of that.
No, it's what they were hired to do. If they do the night shift,
they know it ahead of time. That's a tough shift. I mean, it can be.
I've worked the knock shift,
Do you?
I have. It's been rough,
I mean, it can be. I guess people get used to it over time. But, I think it's really wonderful that you are able to stay open, though, that 23 hours. And, when they cut back the crisis stabilization unit at the treatment center, for years we had that for 23 hours. And not everybody was hospitalized from there, but at least it was someplace to go, And I think it was 2008, 2009 where that was cut because of the funding cuts. And we were just always so, and those are a lot of the calls that we got. We were always so concerned that there was really no place else for someone to go for those 23 hours anymore where they had nothing. And so everybody was going to the emergency rooms. And I think that's when that sort of trend started to happen where you where you saw those emergency rooms really, really inundated with some of the mental health clients that maybe had been, seen at the crisis stabilization unit before. But at least it seems like we're, trying to fill that gap in Sacramento County now, where we have something that's 23 hours that somebody can go to, and they can get the assistance they need, the support, they can be in a safe environment. And that was tough to not be able to refer anybody to any place for.
Yeah, well said. That's exactly right. And TLCS, the agency that oversees this program, Sierra Health Foundation, and they oversee the grant. And then Sacramento County saw that, recognized that as an issue, and TLCS wrote a grant specifically to help the ERs out, and that's how this program originated. And if I can say this, we have, for the viewers that think, oh, this must be full all the time, and we have some sort of waiting list, we've only turned people away 3 times since we opened December 19th because we were at capacity. And our capacity is 8 to 10 people, depending on kind of what's going on. So 8 to 10 people over a span of 23 hours, and only 3 times that we've had to say on the phone,
that was going to be one of my questions.
You'll have to call back, in 3 hours. So we always, except for 3 times, have availability.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Really,
so you've been able to manage it in a way that you kind of get them in and get them out, and stay on that trajectory.
And most people aren't choosing to stay 23 hours.
Right. So they may leave in a few hours. Right. What would you say, do you think the average is that people stay?
I think it's just depend. Maybe it just depends on the person.
What about an average?
12?
I would say 12 to 15.
Okay.
We could crunch those numbers, but I would think that too. Yeah.
So that may be sort of a window of time that people can start to decompress, feel a little bit better, feel like the crisis has passed to some degree. Is that what people say at the end? I'm kind of curious of what questions you ask at the end when they're leaving.
Well, they say they're feeling better, they're ready to go, or they say that they just mainly say that they're feeling better, they're ready to go, they got the help that they needed, they're glad that we were able to assist them.
They know they can come back if they absolutely have to.
And we ask them to kind of rate their crisis now at the end of the stay.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering a little bit. Yeah,
and they tell us.
And so you see some movement. You see some movement.
Oh, tremendous movement.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, the results are amazing. And honestly, starting the program, I thought, well, what can we do in 23 hours? And I was hopeful we could do, but I couldn't have imagined what happens in 23 hours.
Right. That there can be that much movement, really.
Oh boy, yeah.
In terms of de-escalating and all of that. Yeah.
And the power of just being heard.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've always kind of felt that people are not always in crisis. Sometimes they're in crisis for a shorter period of time than sort of we traditionally in the mental health system have treated them, where we always do this 3-day hold and then, maybe another 14 days or 7 days. And, and then sort of have this lifelong diagnosis, and maybe and maybe they're periodic or episodic for some people, not everybody, and it's really hard to classify sort of one size fits all. But I've always felt that there are times where it ebbs and flows for people. It really does, and that we need to sort of capture those moments and build upon those strengths with folks when they're experiencing some of that. So I'm really excited about the opportunities that you guys are able to have over there, and just doing some of this work. And really, sometimes a hospital trip can be very traumatic for folks. On a psychiatric hospitalization, and even. And no fault to the ERs, but even in an emergency room sometimes, if you're experiencing psychiatric distress, and I've been there, and I see that people are stigmatizing, and sometimes they're saying, well, why is this person here? And it's just not really right, and it's not really conducive to sort of what you guys are promoting. That this is a safe place, you're welcome here, a compassionate, warm person to talk to. You're not going to get that in a triage situation in an emergency room. 23
hours in the hallway on a gurney.
Right. I mean, it's just, and I've always, kind of wondered about the patient's rights issues around some of that stuff as well. How is that really in the best interest of the client? So this is a great, innovative program that you guys are doing over there, and it's really exciting to see that it's working, and that you're not having those sort of challenges that everybody sort of worries about and wonders about, and that's what's really encouraging to me, is that you're really seeing some progress with folks in a fairly short period of time. Yeah. So what are some of the needs, or how the community can help support some of the work that you're doing at the Crisis Respite Center?
The first thing is helping us get the word out. The number is 916-RESPITE. Whether, I'm speaking to you as a professional, a family member, a friend, a Facebook friend, let people know that they don't need to suffer in silence anymore. We're a phone call away, a short phone screening. We don't need your medical records. We don't need to know everything about what led up to this. We just need to know what's going on. If you've got a lot going on, can't get to us, we'll help you get to us. There's help. There's something that's a phone call away, besides the ER or 911, that can do a tremendous amount of good. And I would think that we would really be so busy all day, every day, that we would have to say, wow, if you can get in. But that's not the case.
Well, it's still pretty new. Give it time, Dwayne.
Well, then we'll make it bigger.
After the show.
We'll grow it bigger.
Right.
So, yeah.
Because I think there is probably a lot more need out there, and I think that folks probably don't, widely know about it yet.
Yeah.
So they're learning. I know that they have, as part of the Respite Collaborative, and this is probably a trick question, so I apologize, but as part of the Respite Collaborative, I know there's some other programs as well that are also meeting some of these needs in different ways. Are you able to talk at all about those? And the other one that I was thinking about was Turning Point's Abiding Hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We work closely
I was going to ask that if you guys have the opportunity to work closely.
Turning Point Abiding Hope offers 3 to approximately 14 days respite. The one criteria is they need to have a mental health diagnosis of some sort.
Right.
So
they need to be linked?
No.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. So we work very closely with Abiding Hope. St. John's program for Real Change has money from the Respite Collaborative.
And that's for women, primarily.
Women and women with children. They do not need to be homeless. Just struggling with some sort of mental health challenge. And they offer up to 30 days. Is it 30 days?
The Respite Center is 14 days.
14 days. Thank you for the expert here. There's a couple of the programs.
Yeah, I know there's a few of them out there, but I think it's nice to see the collaborative working in a way that meets different needs at different times. Maybe somebody might need a little bit longer stay and need to move to a program like that for a little while. And I know that's, I think, a hard one to get into a little bit, because it is they only have such limited capacity, and some of the folks really are in a longer-term crisis and need to stay a little bit longer.
And they're reaching out also to the elderly population. There's respite money for them, and then also TAY, which has money coming to help meet the needs of those 12 to about 24, 25 years old.
The transition age teens and transition age youth.
So there's exciting things coming.
It's very exciting. One of my concerns, and I know that we don't want to get too political, is that the funding will be eventually running out from there. So we hope that these programs can be sustained in some way, either through CSS funding, through the MHSA, system development type funds, or find another opportunity or way to continue to sustain those programs, because I think you've built so much in a really short period of time. We would hate to see that the community lose out on those services, and they're so needed. How are you feeling with the hospitals? Are the hospitals involved in all of this, and are they aware of what you're doing, and are they grateful, and sort of do you get some of the referrals from them sometimes?
Quite a few from all the local hospitals.
I was wondering. It's probably a godsend.
We get consistent, like every day we get referrals from every hospital. Well, not every, but from most of
quite
them.
A few.
We're 24/7, so whenever there's a
at least they have a number they can call, and they can send somebody,
and not get stuck in that hallway on a gurney.
Right. Like, here's an option for you. If you want to wait here, that's fine, but there is this program if you want to go.
And very clear, if they need medical intervention, that's hospital. But anything below that, that's us. That's what we do.
So sometimes it's right below there. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it sounds like. You know, but it's been successful, and it's been really positive. It sounds like in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
I read the little newsletter that comes across my desk, and I'm always very inspired by that because there's really great stories in there from people, and they are really appreciative that they have a place like this to go to.
Yeah.
So, are you feeling that a lot of the clients keep wanting to come back, or you don't ever limit that? It sounds like they come back, but I was just wondering, is there ever a limit to how often they can come back?
We don't ever limit it unless there was a situation that occurred with the guest or something like that.
Right.
Or if they're using it kind of like
a shelter,
numerous numerous times throughout the week.
Allow it to become a shelter because that's not the role of the program. Yeah,
And it's beautiful. People absolutely come there. It's nurturing. It's like going home and mom and warm food and everybody's available. So there is absolutely a group of people that would use that all day, every day if they could. And unfortunately or fortunately, it's an alternative for them to use us. Instead of the ER.
Exactly.
Because people are struggling out there. And so we have people at times go through a crisis that may last a week and come every other day. We don't typically allow back-to-back days for a span of time, and
for
then
a short
team
brief
meeting,
period.
we'll see what's going on. And but it is a challenge on occasion, specific to like a person, to know what's best for the program for them. Because it is.
Well, because I bet it's hard to leave. Some people really probably love it and don't want to leave. I mean.
But people are really
they're respectful.
They are. They really work with us, and they know from the get-go. And not to sound too cliche, or it's like a family atmosphere that everybody seems to kind of be working in the same direction.
Yeah, everybody working together. That's wonderful.
Cooperative like that.
Yeah. I know that sometimes, and this is probably going to sound silly, but I know that we hear this a lot from people when they go to the hospital, like no one's there to take care of their pets, or if they're in a mental health crisis and they don't have anybody do people ever come with pets or anything like that? Do you ever have that issue?
We've had individuals who came with like dogs or maybe service dogs, stuff like that, and we allow them to come in.
Oh, you do?
Service dogs.
Service dogs, yeah.
To give you a flavor of how we're thinking in the background, we have worked with a local.
I know the shelter on Front Street, and I know they used to do this, but they would allow people, if they were homeless or they were in the hospital for a period of time, to leave their pets, and then they would be able to go get them.
Well, and we've even paid to board pets, so we'll do whatever we can. If
check out the Front Street one. They will. They would take them up until not too long ago, because they've been on the show before. But I thought that was a really nice service that they were willing to provide for people that were hospitalized. Because sometimes the pet is they're close companion and therapeutic in so many ways, and they need a little bit of a break. They can't necessarily take the pet, and so that's always, and we get that a lot from clients that I lost my pet because of this, because I got hospitalized, or had to go and get services and things like that, and that's really, it can be very traumatic.
We've offered housing to someone that, a few people, especially over the span of my career. Here's some housing, but they don't take pets, and but they choose to stay homeless.
Exactly, Dwayne.
For the love of their pets.
For their pets, because that's their close companion, and that's a tremendous loss to be able to.
So we're respectful of that. We have a no pet policy.
Right,
we're strict on that.
Have to,
but we'll
help them.
We will. We'll look for alternatives. We'll try to go the distance.
Right. That's wonderful, though. It sounds like you guys really do go the distance and help kind of set some goals and things that they need to be working on, or, is that part of what you do a little bit when they first get there? Is like, what kind of immediate needs do you have?
We kind of look into what their guest goals are, what are they kind of wanting while they're there. Our main thing is just to kind of be reflective listeners and just listen and just be supportive to them. and
Give them space.
Right.
Give them time.
And so we're not really pushy. And
Right, I was wondering.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what are you here for? What do you want? What do you do? Yeah, like you kind of let them have some time to sort of just.
So we kind of develop like a list of their guest goals, and they'll say, I just want to relax. I just want respite. I want to look into some housing opportunities, some AOD resources, or whatever it is. And so we get on it after the end of the listening session, and we'll kind of all collaborate together and kind of help them, involve them in it as well. So we like to empower our guests so that they're working on their goals and their plan as well as us. And it kind of works out that way.
Yeah, that's exciting, actually. That's nice, because a lot of times they don't want to be asked a million questions, or they don't want to get involved in the activities, or, like, do you want to do this? Do you want to, like, maybe I don't really want to do anything right now.
I just want to put my feet up.
Yeah, I think that, having that permission, oftentimes you don't really have that in a lot of places. It's sort of like, what are you here for? What do you want?
We have people come in that are hooked into resources, having private insurance, maybe have a
that's what I was going to ask. Yeah, it sounds like, pretty much runs the gamut.
No, it does. And so maybe they don't need a lot, but to feel them be in a safe environment and watch some TV, distract, and that's okay. We're okay with that.
Do you find that you see any trends, like ages or any kind of like presenting issues, or does it really, really vary from day to day?
Nothing comes to mind. It's a wide variety.
Yeah, it sounds like it is, and you really probably don't ever know.
Yeah, you don't. No.
Yeah, it just depends on the individual and sort of where they're at. Yeah, wonderful. So, do you have any volunteers that work in the program, or any need for any of that type of help or support? It sounds like you need sort of a specialized skill set. Yeah,
and I do think a volunteer with peer experience would be an amazing addition to the team.
Yeah.
But at this point, we've got a staff ratio to guests that is working. Now, if we continue to get busier and busier, which we will, at some point I would be receptive to looking at a volunteer, because I do think they have so much to offer.
Well, I just always feel like it's such an untapped resource.
Exactly.
We work a lot with volunteers in our programs, and it's something that I found every day someone's calling our office to see if they can volunteer, and I always feel bad if you have to turn them away, because there's somebody.
They need something to do.
They want something to do. They want to give back to the community.
Purpose.
And exactly. And so it's really a win-win for everybody involved, and I think it's such an untapped resource.
Wow, I do too. Exactly.
And so many folks really, we have volunteers that have worked with us for 20, 25 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Mostly in our older adult program with seniors, but it's such a big part of their life. It really enriches them, and it's important to give people those opportunities as well. And sometimes a program like this, I would think, would be sort of captivating for somebody to help in some way. Maybe they could do crafts, or they could help with the meal preparation, or cleaning up, or God knows there's
listen.
Yeah, just being a friend, a peer listener,
all that life experience.
Exactly,
is an untapped resource. Yeah.
But it sounds like you're pretty well staffed. What is the staff to client ratio usually?
Well, we have 12 staff, and at any given time we have up to 8 to 10 people. So it varies. We never have less than 2 staff on at any given time.
Right. So you
but typically like 2 to 4, 2 to 5 even.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. So it sounds like you really have people of all ages. So you get some older adults, you get some 18-year-olds. So it really varies. And so how are folks outside the mental health system hearing about it? Just word of mouth, or?
A lot of in-services. I've done
all over, like part of your outreach, some of your outreach.
Overall. And if anybody needs an in-service that's watching this program, if you dial 916 Respite and ask for me, Dwayne Wright, I'd be happy to come and do an in-service. It's a large part of what I do, and I have a passion for getting the word out to anybody that might be able to use this program.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, so thank you for saying that.
Yeah, so can you think of any other kind of needs or gaps or anything that the community or any of us in the advocacy world can do to help in any way?
advertising, just getting us out there more.
Yeah, getting the word out, letting people know. We're always letting people know. And
obviously, that's
been
what you do.
Yeah, and
that's great.
Been great with our warm line too. You know, we got a lot of folks that call into the warm line and maybe just need to have a little bit of a break, and they're feeling that they're on the verge of a crisis, or things are starting to unravel for them, and just being able to give out a resource like that. I mean, I've worked in Sacramento's system for 17 years now, and we've never really been able to have something like that where you could just go and it wasn't all this criteria. Are you NorCal eligible, and are you target pop, and do you have a diagnosis? Are you linked or unlinked? It's like all of those questions are sort of par for the course. It's a limited pool of resources, and it's a public mental health system, and so that has always, as you know, Dwayne, you've been working in this system for a long time, has always been such a challenge. And so when you see a program like this that's innovative, that's doing good work, that has really excellent outcomes, that are keeping people out of the hospital, it's like we want to see more of that. We want to see the programs like that expand and really serve the community in a really wide range.
Yeah, I mean, just out of respect for the viewers, typically the one primary reason that we're not inviting people in is if they just call and say, I'm homeless, or I just need a place to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't, because you can't make it that type of program. Yeah.
But otherwise, just kind of piggybacking on what you said, is we're available. Yeah,
right.
We really are. I know I've said that like 4 times.
No, but I love that. I mean, that's just, we never hear that. It's like music to my ears, Usually what folks get, and so often, we've heard like, well, we just feel like every door's been closed in our face, and we can't get the help that we need, and we can't get the support that
I make a little too much, I don't make enough.
Exactly, or I don't, meet target population, but yet I feel like, I'm very, very seriously depressed. I'm on the verge of a crisis, and, you don't know what to do for people sometimes. You throw your hands up like, we'll do the best we can, but I don't know how to support folks when there isn't a resource such as that, and especially when we also had the crisis stabilization unit close, and it's really hard to say, well, just go to the ER, and what that's going to be like for folks. They're going to wait for a long time, and that's just going to be a very, very difficult thing. And oftentimes those crises, like, there's a window of opportunity for people that maybe when they're seeking help, and when that can sort of be ameliorated. And then sometimes those crises can become very like self-perpetuating. It can get worse and create even more barriers for people to get the help they need, and then if those initial contacts with the system are not positive, that can keep people from getting help for years.
I just couldn't agree more. And they get in and they can't get out.
Exactly.
It's all kinds of things that happen.
Yeah. And so to just really be in a non-threatening environment where there's not going to be any, where you have to take this medication. You guys don't get into any of that. It's sort of this pure, organic program that is really, really lovely.
Yeah. Well, you get it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's very, very exciting for us. And just to hear that, you haven't had a problem with some of those issues. You're not worried about the medicine and whether they need to have a psychiatrist on staff and things like that. That you've been able to manage it, and you've been able to manage it well. That is truly encouraging to hear, and that you've done this now for the better part of the year. So it shows that these programs really work. I know there's some best practices around the country. I think there's one in Georgia, and then they have the one down in Santa Cruz. I don't know if you're familiar with that. They have a crisis respite program.
We have looked into that a little bit,
so there's some really, great things that have been happening. And so it's wonderful to see that Sacramento has embraced this approach as a real alternative, to folks in crisis. So. And
I think to the public that might think, well, isn't it scary, working with these individuals?
Well, that's what we hear a lot.
We do. And in fact, it's not. We have a lot of people coming to us in a lot of pain that just need to be heard. And I can't think of a single occasion where, it was scary and this and that.
And you feel that way. And you've been doing this work now for how long?
Just for almost 12 months.
So you've been with the program since the start. Yeah. And so how do you feel about it?
I love it. I feel like we're like a family. I love being able to assist the guests and kind of get them going, and for them to be able to de-escalate, and it makes me feel good at the end of the day that I was able to assist them in their needs, and was able to kind of
help out.
Give folks some tools, and and just to keep them well and keep them on that in that good place, Well, I thank you so much, both of you, for being here today. And I think for me, it's really exciting to see people that are excited to do this work.
Yeah.
I think when I met Dwayne, I was like, oh gosh, he's so passionate. He loves what he's doing. And it sounds like you are as well, Letitia. And really, it sounds like it's reflective of the whole staff you have over there. So I think that really makes a difference in that sort of organizational culture.
Yeah.
You know, that this is what we're here for. We want to do this. This is, our passion and our joy. And I can see that with both of you. So really, really appreciate that. And would you mind giving the number again?
Yeah.
I want to make sure we give the number. It probably will come up on the screen at the end of the show. But
and I want a 916 respite, but for us older folk, 916-972-1017, 972-1017. And there'll be somebody there 24/7. Somebody's always going to answer that phone. If you're not sure if you qualify or not, take the time, call. And we do require to speak to the individual wanting to come in. If you're calling on behalf of someone else, that's fine. We're available.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. And don't hesitate if you're out there and you're feeling lonely or you're feeling that you might be facing a crisis. Don't hesitate to call this number and to make sure you get connected. It's important not to suffer in silence.
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you both.
Oh my gosh,
again.
thank you.
I really, really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you for listening and tuning in. And please remember that your mental health matters.
When I think of where I've been, the good times and the bad, on a scale of 1 to 10, either way I'm glad, 'cause I'm not alone. As I'm reaching for the phone, your voice is there, you really care, you're my comfort zone. Sometimes when I'm lost, crushed beneath the pain, though I can't afford the cost, I just smile and play the game. But there's a healing place where I cannot pretend. Your smiling face, your heart's embrace heals me again. So even when the storm is strong and I'm deaf to my own cry, I faintly hear a distant song and I simply can't deny that I'm not alone. 10,000 times I've known my best bet is that first step for hope. Trying to stand tall, I'm haunted by the past. With my back against that wall, one thing is clear at last. The kind of love you show to me flows from an endless stream. With shores so wide it won't subside, my mind had never dreamed how I'm not alone. Even when I'm on my own, your gentle touch is much too much to let me roll. So even when the storm is strong and I'm deaf to my own cry, I faintly hear a distant song and I simply can't deny